sunk over 120 of their Navy ships, with battle damage assessments pending for many more today.
Their surface fleet is no longer a factor, and their submarines, they once had 11, are now completely gone.
Their military ports are crippled. We continue to hunt and kill mine storage facilities and naval ammunition depots.
We continue to hunt and kill afloat assets, including more than 120 vessels and 44
mine layers, and the pressure will continue to destroy the entire Iranian naval fleet until they are finished.
The U.S. Navy committed 2 carrier strike groups already positioned in the region for this massive combat operation. The USS Abraham Lincoln, with its escort destroyers, was operating in the Arabian Sea during the initial strikes.
The USS Gerald R was stationed in the Red Sea, and these were the most advantageous naval positions
for a simultaneous strike on the Iranian fleet from 2 directions, and the Tomahawk cruise missiles aboard ships
could reach any point where Iranian vessels were operating, and both carrier groups were brought to full combat readiness. Each carrier air wing carried approximately 44 Fa-18 Super Hornets, and the backbone of U.S. carrier naval aviation, and the primary aircraft that would execute the strikes against enemy ships and destroy Iranian ammunition depots quickly, while also intercepting Shahed drones launched in defense that meant roughly 88 Super Hornets across both carriers,
plus additional F-35C Lightning IIs on both carriers, and the fighters were brought to the deck.
And positioned for launch, the catapults fired, and the fighters launched off the bow, one after another today, climbing hard and banking toward their assigned targets, and the launches came in rapid succession, one jet off deck, the next already rolling into position in the air. A pilot identified an Iranian warship on the horizon. Through the targeting pod he locked on, selected the weapon, and fired. The missile struck the enemy ship.
The pilot did not circle back to observe. He was already heading to the next target, another destroyer.
At a different set of coordinates, the mission was to work through the entire target list as fast
possible, hitting one vessel after another, before the Iranians could disperse or take cover in port locations.
On the escort destroyers, the order came through to the bridge to engage with Tomahawk cruise missiles.
The command was acknowledged and passed to the weapons team within seconds, and the vertical launch cell hatches opened.
And missiles began firing one after another, and Tomahawks erupted from the cells in bursts of flame and smoke, arcing skyward before leveling off and racing toward Iranian naval vessels and shore-based targets across the coast. Each missile was programmed with the precise coordinates of its target. The barrage continued until the fire mission was complete below deck on the carriers, and mechanics were already working on the fighters that had returned home.
From their first sorties, aircraft were brought down to the hangar level on the massive elevators by teams. Were greased and tested to make sure they would function cleanly. On the next sortie, hydraulic lines checked.
Engine panels were opened for quick inspections, and anything flagged by the pilot during the mission was diagnosed properly. And
a warning light, a sluggish control response and avionics glitch was diagnosed and repaired on the spot immediately.
On the flight deck, the arresting gear crew prepared for the next round of landings, and they inspected wires.
Stretched across the deck, the wires that catch the tail hook of an incoming fighter and bring it
to a stop in less than 300 feet. Fighters returning from combat approached the carrier from astern,
dropped their tail hooks, and came in on the glide slope guided by the optical landing system lights.
In the bridge, the air traffic control team logged every landing, exact time of arrival, and pilot name.
Aircraft number, weapons, expended fuel remaining, Any maintenance issues reported in flight, and every detail was recorded for planning.
For the next planning cycle on the aft section of the flight deck, Seahawk helicopters were prepared.
For resupply missions, a logistics ship had arrived nearby, loaded with provisions for the crew and ordnance.
The aircraft, the Seahawks, would shuttle everything between the supply vessel and the carrier crates of food.
Drinking water, medical supplies, spare parts, and boxes of ammunition were rigged with cargo nets and slung.
Beneath the helicopters, the Seahawks lifted off, flew the short distance to the supply ship and back, picked up the loads and ferried them back to the carrier and the escort destroyers operating in.
The formation, the resupply runs continued in rotation, one helicopter outbound, another inbound, keeping the flow constant.
Material constant so every ship in the strike group could sustain operations without slowing down at.
All heat, the cycle on the carrier never stopped. On the bow, catapults launched fighters into the car. Sky on the stern, returning jets cut the wire and rolled to a halt below deck mechanics.
Turned aircraft around as fast as humanly possible. On the flight deck, weapons crews loaded fresh ordnance.
In the hangar, elevators moved jets up and down between levels, and in the air, Super Hornets formed up in groups, flew together toward Iran, and then split apart as they neared the coast.
Each pilot breaking off to his own assigned target, executing his strike, and turning back for the
carrier to rearm and go again. And the operation ran day and night, sortie after sortie, until the
Iranian fleet ceased to exist as a fighting force, and every vessel was neutralized in this final decisive movement.
The discipline of the pilots and deck crew ensured that the mission objective was met with complete precision.
Operating under constant threat, and the carrier strike group proved its ability to dominate any maritime environment with force.
Every piece of equipment was accounted for, and every drop of fuel was utilized to sustain the attack.
The landing sequence is a violent but controlled dance that occurs every few minutes during high-intensity operations.
Command and control maintained a perfect picture of the battlefield through advanced satellite links and airborne radar systems.
Reliability is built through thousands of hours of maintenance performed by the unsung heroes below the flight deck.
The seamless integration of logistics and combat power allowed the strike group to remain on station indefinitely today. Human endurance was tested as much as the machines, with crews working around the clock to finish missions.
The eradication of the Iranian surface fleet was achieved through a relentless cycle of precision strikes and intelligence.
Thousands of gallons of fuel were pumped every hour to keep the air wing in the sky over Iran.
With the objective completed, the strike groups began their transition out of the combat zone for rest.
The Tomahawk missiles had done their job, clearing the way for the airstrikes that followed them today.
The maintenance teams could finally take a short break after the most intense 48 hours of service.
Battle damage assessment photos confirmed that the Iranian naval infrastructure was beyond any immediate repair or reuse.
The loss of their submarine force was a crushing blow to their ability to threaten regional shipping lanes.
The Red Sea Strike Group maintained its position, ensuring that no reinforcements could reach the Gulf from west.
Every landing was a testament to the skill of the naval aviators operating under extreme pressure and fatigue.
The engineering teams kept the ship moving, and the catapults firing, despite the constant stress of combat operations.
The success of the mission was measured in the total neutralization of the hostile naval threat, in days.
Air dominance was maintained throughout the operation, allowing the strike teams to work without any serious aerial opposition.
Small repairs made in the hangar prevented larger failures that could have grounded the entire carrier air wing today.
The logistics chain remained unbroken, ensuring that the fleet had everything it needed to finish the mission objective.
Preparedness was the key to victory, as every sailor knew their role and executed it with military perfection.
Shore targets were prioritized to ensure the safety of the carriers as they operated close to the coast.